All right, I thought I'd get started on line communications and positions all levels. It flicked off in the high interference and position locations online. So the track communication to its open sequence is all about understanding how to surface its position interactions. So we really have to understand how to communicate to lines of pi, how to use communications of pi, how to understand anything through pi, correlation division line conditions of pi. Pi is the center calculation to its setting. Okay, we all have to understand how to use it because it volumes everything that we do, right, from here to here. So it's all about understanding it. If it's here and it's here, what's in between, right? So this is what you're accomplishing, right? To accomplish that is understand the grounds, understand the surface, right? So you work with the in and you work with the out. And then when you understand everything in its location of space, where you can slow down space, speed up space, and get in position of pausing space, rewind space, and fast forward space. These are the things that you can do once you're more levels at set locations to your high set location of your brain. The brain and the conversion location system opens all lines of communication line setting. This puts you in a higher calculation to its stream. This high position is all volume. So that volumes are center lines and position attractions. So once you understand that position location, everything comes in setting. Okay, it's very interesting when we see communication to its system. So platitude line interference is we understand how to voice channels, correlate setting, direct signals, and position to its program. Once you understand how to do that, it opens all position location to its system. The track communication settings to all levels of open sequence puts platitude division locations to your pi. Pi positions its track. It opens all line division, puts you in a center calculation stream location. Center lines its direct signals to its open sequence pattern. And that pattern puts a higher calculation stream location to a high generation line stream. Okay, so it signifies an all position of attraction. Understanding the mechanism lines of travel is really understand how to use and always informs. It opens up your system. So what I mean by that is really understand that when you're in a platitude line conditions, you guys are coming in your schematics, right? So we all have to understand how to use it now. So when you get into that set locations, when you're in space academies, you're designing it. Okay, so let's go through a box location. All right, so you can start from the inline setting and work your way out. So in that line conditionized system, how do I get position of shift lines? Well, change position location of traction. And downshift location sets. Okay. So there's a lot of ways where you can do these things, or you can go up line division and basically get wireline communication, center position track communications, all levels, open up patterns, high position locations. You're expanding the bandwidths of pi in your location, your system, all through line calculation, the graph line calculations and location. Okay. So we all understand how to get into identification of settings. This opens all position to your system locations. All right. It's interesting to look at these equations. Now, in that equation, understand pi. This is all levels of pi, right? Not a piece of pie, just a pi. Pi and direct signal location line setting. So I was always wondering that if I'm looking at a communication to a system, try to understand how it works in all the levels of line division locations. When I started off, I was going into this setting. Okay. So it's interesting locations. This is a picnic table. But you see it through a flat surface. Right? People are sitting down. There's the position location to its picnic table. But to understand the balance is to understand the lines of communications. Understanding the lines of communication, how it becomes a set location to its setting. Okay, see how that works? So we all have to understand how to get in perspective. The first thing you guys are going to look at, start with the box lines in that set location, wherever you are in line position locations. It's all in line conditions to an L. It's all lines of a box. It's all lines of a rectangle. It's all lines of high calculation setting. You can even be in a spherical sphere of set location of a circle. So it's all about reconstructing it from inside in line connections, all levels in position. Okay. And once you get into that, you come into this. This levels it out, right? And then you can basically go through triangular line settings, go through triangulation high position locations, or you can open up another box location system. So it's all about understanding how to get into travel lines, starting that communications on levels of set location. Okay. So, and then you bring in the sun. The sun basically completes the system in protection in its location system. Okay. So you start off small. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through line signature, string location, line settings, now positions. Now I was going into the system. I'm going to this line conditions. All right. This is U interaction. Inside locations. So in position of track line is really understanding how to redirect signals. Okay, so you got the 13 graph interaction, right? This opens all your positions to its location. Now it gets more interesting when you understand what you are doing through its equation. Okay, this is you. Okay. Fixing things inside location line settings and directions. Okay, in that system locations. Okay, so basically you're looking at the graph screen and position. And you're saying the coloration here, coloration here, coloration here. So you got your 12 signature patterns. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, so that's inside locations, all right? So what happens in that position of track lines, remember, you can fly two in lines, you can set position of ground lines, but you have a rotation surface and triangulation, right? So you have to keep yourself grounded in a crop circle location setting. See how easy it is to create these things in position of traction? Okay, so you're always in the grounds, always in the grounds, always in the grounds, but you're in space now. So you guys have to get used to drawing in space anomaly. It's like, whoa, I'm floating, like you're on a boat. And the first thing you're trying to do is you're trying to scale yourself. You're trying to balance yourself on the water, So in that position location, this is where it becomes more real. So you come into positions, you fly here, you fix this line, conditionized system, you come over here, you fly this line, position locations, calculation line in positions, and you go over here, line position locations, you put this over here, and set location and setting. Okay, so there's a lot of things that you can do in space, right? When I started off in direct location system, I was in the center lines of the universe. I was working with all communications, all line communications of computers, 4-box computer settings, and me in the center. Okay, me in the center, working all calculations through systems, all formation line settings and direction. Okay, working for computers. All right, travel position location operation, indirect signal to its calculation of string location. Okay, so it's directing lines, setting position location of track lines. Oh, solar flare line streams. 1, 2, 3 position locations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 calculation settings. Directing lines, balance correlation setting. 1, 2, 3. Setting track locations and position location of its operation and all set location. All right. So you're constantly going through line position location of track lines, operation surface, operation direct signals, and position location of schematics. Okay. Now, really understand the waiting line cycles. Now you have your coordinate settings location system. So the direct signals lines of 6 and 9, guys, how 6 and 9 rotates. It's always going forward. It's like turning the clock dial, or you're at a locker, you're going this way, this way, this way. Opens up, right? It's the same thing, except the difference is that you're constantly moving forward. You're going faster, faster, faster. So when you're going faster, you're creating line communications, all levels of settings, and higher position of travel calculation. Okay, so you're changing your colorations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, now you can add that signal, add that signal, add that signal, add that signal. Right? So in positions, you go line calculation setting to a system. So your direct signal is set up a circle sphere, line rotation surface triangulations to all calculation. Okay, travel through in position to its operation. Okay, platitude line connections, position location cross streams. Okay, so you guys have to learn how to get in perspective of your own drawings. Okay, but you have to do it in space now. So in that line communications, you got to see yourself floating in space. Like you're looking at the ground, it's, oh my gosh, there's no ground, but there is a ground in the mind. right? The adaptation is its position. So the avatar can be anywhere in design, in any second, any minute, or any hour, right? So it's here, and then it goes over here, and then it goes over here, and then it goes over here. It's fixing things, right? So it's traveling here, 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 here. It's like Flash. Fix line communication line, sending direct signals back into all calculations position. Out. Done by equation. All right. So really get the balance of the mind. Really balance out the space. Okay. That's just very powerful when you come in that line communication to its settings. Okay. All right. So in line calculations, let's go through the flux capacitor. Okay. Now position location comes in settings. Now this gets interesting. Now what you want to do is you want to have a graph line screen at the bottom. Okay. So in that high position locations, you use that every single day. So you got colorations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, 12 graphs of colors, right? Setting position track lines. In that correlation setting, it's really interesting to look at these locations. 1 digit, 2 digit, 3 digit. So you're taking the one line center. So you're taking 1 out, you're taking 2 out, you're taking 3 out. Okay. Now, once you get into that position, you basically have to understand what you want to do because the correlation set location setting is all calculated modified. So in that direct locations, you go 1, 2, and position of 3. Okay, so that's how you're setting up your design at 1, 2, and 3 through your 13 calendar, which is a 13 graph stream. All right, so you take the 1, 2, and 3 and put it here. You need to put it here. Okay, the reason why you put it there is because it's getting in positions to its setting to turn into a flux capacitor. Okay. So when it turns into a flux capacitor, what do? Right? It's like lighting up a light bulb. And that track location system comes in this position locations. Boom. Okay, a light bulb. Center calculation line interference, 1, 2, and 3 circuits. Okay, center position, right? All through 1, 2, and 3. Okay, that's a light bulb. Now, calculation line interference, it's position of track lines. Let's put it position locations to an 80 watts. Okay, 80 watt set location. Right? Now that's indicating line connections of 1, 2, and 3. Right? Now, the connections along the levels of setting high position of track line is how the connections to your sim uses it through calculation. So it travels out, 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 out in the higher position locations, right? So 82, 120, 140, 160, 180, 240 watt. Right? It comes back in setting. That's where you bring the sun and you bring the moon in travel communication to its direct signal operation. Okay? And that's just the 1, 2, and 3 through a 13 graph stream. So I want to show you how you create the reality that you're in, how you create a light bulb, how it flicks on a switch, because it's the energy side that knows the exact line communication, what it needs to use through its graph streams, let's say locations. And that's just 1, 2, and 3, how it creates a light bulb, right? And how the sun and the moon comes back in traction. Okay? Powerful, isn't it? Okay, so once you get in that position locations, we come in the signature stream locations as settings. Now, what we did from yesterday line interference, we platted to its location system, right? Interactions. So in that direct signal, we come into all position locations to a system in this calculation. How it's set up in the 24 Academy line setting, okay? So you got to look at all the signature line streams, how it's set up to the grounds, the powers, and the atmosphere location system of travel, okay? So once you understand that's why I keep it on waiting signal, so you understand position of track communications. Look at that, a vortex out. Okay, so it moved in a different position. It just like moves by itself. And that's what it does. You get used to it. It's like graph over here, graph over here. Now let's bring this down here. Let's bring that up there. No, let's take that around there. Let's throw that out. So you really get to understand how to use yourself as a computer. You are the computer. So this helps you and guide you to higher line position to your settings and get you in all levels of correlation setting direct system to use applications. Got into this track location, right? ASCAR, how that's set locations, right? Try to get into the signature stream locations of setting is very powerful when you get into that positions, okay? So I'm just showing you how you can come in position locations and all line connection height settings and create line communications to all of the position locations. Look at that, the light bulb disappeared. Okay, so what we want to do is basically how to get into the holographic stream of ourselves to really understand how to formulate the picture that you're trying to send to yourself or each other. It's all telepathy of signature stream locations, and understand how to use the 13 graphs gives you a better understanding how to turn it into a flux capacitor. Okay? Because you have to understand, if you turn it into a flux capacitor, it's really understanding its indication to its setting, because each chakra has a router and router to its set location. Always in set positions. Always has the center grounds, always has the center positions, and always have its operation location that's in line communications on a 3-wire communication system. Okay? Now, in that track line communications, you come into this line. This is your solar plex. Okay, and then it just travels out. See, it travels out position in 3-line connections, right? Travels out. Look at that. Whoa. See? You got to get into your imagination lines, phenomenal line rotations. Platitude line positions, all levels 1 here, position of 2 sets, calculations of settings. Back in track line in high position locations, back in set location to a system. Okay? So you're working inside and working out. You're expanding. And that's what you want to do in set locations to your drawings. Okay, so I'm just showing you how to use your 13 graph lines. Okay, so it's like having a tablet and you understand how to use it, or it's like having connections to your setting when it comes into a canvas and you have connections of colors that's on it, and you're doing this, you're doing that, you know. It's all position locations of coloration, right? You get coloration line settings locations. So let's get into the line connection high center. Okay, we're going to go in position location near 72 frames. 72 frame lines is a high calculations of 24, 48, and position of 72 in the center, puts position locations. Line calculations of 144 in position of travels. Now 144 has to be an awaiting signal. This is where it comes in calculation 9 inference, position of pi, indirect locations into underscore, in calculations 2, future adaptation set location. Okay, so that 72 opens all track communications to your line settings in a 4-waving pattern. Direction of time sequence in a line conditions of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 set locations of indication, right? Comes into a cosmic wind line, streamline, rotation surface in position location of face recognition set locations. Okay? Nose, chin, face recognition. Everything is a face recognition of a map. All right, so the 72 line stream locations are going to come out line streamlines, directing line calculation setting in your nanosecond locations of frames of AI map sequence and set position of travel. Okay? Directing line communication lines of 0 lines, position location of platitude. Track lines of 3-line rotation surface in position of all levels. Okay? Track communications crisscrosses line settings and also in the same position location to a system through platform, right? Right over left, left over right. Platitude line division comes out of the equation. Here is the set location to its hologram and stream location of lacing lines in high position location line interference, and all calculations to its position. Okay? All right? Satellite. So we set up a satellite line interference, travel calculation line position location of east and west, comes into modifications in 3-line settings and high position locations. Travel calculation line interference in direct line conditions of levels. So you get 1, 2, 3 line settings. What's missing, right? Calculation line interference, indirect locations to your thumb of indication system. Congratulations. Okay, see how I set a location near your hand? Signifies lines of a claw, line position of a tractor line communication, lifting up in line rotation. But it's interesting how it's set up location of 5-line signature streams. Okay, position locations. So this indicates the high center interference in your 72 graph line stream locations. Optitudes assist locations in the box lines in triangulation line interference, in position location of box lines in a triangulation line interference. Okay, So that's male over female and female over male in position of track communications. Direct lines and a box line rotations in a 72 computer frame line calculation setting to your position of traction. Okay, done my equation. All right. So how's everybody doing so far? You guys getting a little bit more understanding how this works through colorations and your calculation setting to your hologram, how to use it through pi. We're going to get into that set of locations. Pi is extremely powerful. Pi indicates everything that you do. Okay, pi of this, pi of that, doesn't matter. So anything that I say in position location is pi from here to there. How long does it take? Oh, okay, I just finished it. Let's go back. Right? And then you're home, right? So wherever you go, you are creating pi. Isn't that amazing? You go to the park, 5-10 minutes. What did you do within those 5 or 10 minutes? And the only way you see that is from above looking below. Okay? It's not about understanding what you see here. It's about understanding what you see here, back here, side here, over here, down across here, up here, line position locations, line connection, high center, circular rotation to a system. Okay? So you see all around, right? In perspective locations, right? Right over left, left over right. Okay? And that's that location, which is extremely powerful. So we get a center line communication lines of 0, position location of 0, position of 0. Okay? 3 colorations. Right? 1, 2, 3. So 1 is grounds, which is red. Okay. 2 is calculation high interference, indirect signal locations. So 1 line indicates line condition and lulls. So you can add both in set locations. So you can add 1 lines at grounds, calculation high center security. Ground lines equals lines of ground communication. Indirect signal. So you're coming into the ground line in position locations to its level set locations. All right, so it just becomes the grounds, no set locations, right? So that indicates line interference. So you get 1 line, 2 lines, and 3 line communications in that indications. So that's 3 colors, indirect signals, okay? 3 colors in set position, okay? So you have to really understand how to use the 3 colors, and it equalizes communications to all position location of DOD, okay? So it's really important how you get into your 13 graph line. So you have a box line rotation, and you have your 13 graph stream in set position locations of operation. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so I'm only going to use 8 line signature streams. Okay, so 8 is infinity 8, right? So 8 stays at the top location, 8 stays at the side, 8 stays at the side, 8 stays at the side because that's what you're using today, right? Automatically comes into a diamond core position of traction, right? So in that calculation line interference, what you understand your graph line is changing connections to a setting. Okay. So in that position, you change the 8 over here because you're only using 8. This is only 1 signal. And position location 8 over here in set position. So what that does is it shifts the anomaly of set location to its shape and direct signal in all communication to another position location to its operation. Okay, see how it changes? You see the direction, how it's, so you're changing the shape. So you're directing the signal. Okay. It's very powerful. And this is just level 8. Okay. So it's all about putting things together through a dimensional sail. See? A dimensional sail. All right. This is the dimensional sail of the sun and the moon in a complete cycle and sublocation. All right. And that's just through 8. So really get into relationship with yourself, partnership, and position location, and master all your communication of colors. Working with 0 lines in communications, 0 lines of high position of center, and 0 lines of calculation high center location. So in that indication line interference, 0 travels in 2 line setting. Okay, because it's 2 panels. 0 equals 2 panels. So position locations all lulls. Remember, your calculation line in a position, higher self, remember, female line. So it's position of female and calculation of male equalizes calculations of male into female, okay, which is position location of your Earth, okay? Now, in that track line calculation setting, 0 panel line rotation is direct signal to all lulls of Pluto. Now, direct line send locations. So in that triangulation, This is the female line positions, okay, to your Earth setting, okay? This is where the equal line comes in. From what's above is what's below in set location, okay? So in that indication, I really want you guys to understand how this all works through your higher self and your avatar and your sim in set locations, okay? The equals in the middle. So this is where it becomes E, okay, equals MC square, okay? In that position, this comes together in rotation, 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 and it infuses in set location line setting to all direct signal in its operation surface of a new technology at set location, a new model of set location, okay? That's all you're creating is acceleration at speed, but you're directing and redirecting your shapes, letters, and numbers and symbols into a holographic line calculation set locations. So understanding that set location setting, okay, is understanding this, okay, and understanding this, okay? So E equals MC square, okay? So the square comes in the center line. Square comes in the center line. Square comes in the center line. Square positions. That's your 4 elements, right? 5 is in the center. That comes automatically into an H. So your central communications and line setting of 72 values is position of track lines in the correlation setting directions. So it's really understand all levels how E equals MC comes into a square. Okay? So you get connected to the earth, you get connected to the waters, you get connected to the airs, and you get connected to the fires. Hoo-ah. Isn't that great? That's what you guys are coming into through the brain conversion line settings. Different travel communication, but it's a holographic line set location of structure design. Okay? So understanding how to use the earth, understanding how to use the water, understanding how to use the air, understanding how to use the fire is your 4 elements. Position and track line is the center calculation of the spin cycle of circulation rotation center, and high position of track communication turns all lines of all operations set location to an atom. Mega pass. Okay, so that comes in line set locations. Here comes the atom, turn in line connections. Here comes the atom, turn line connections. So your earth, your air, and your water, and your fire is turning into an atom in 5 element set locations through the convergence of the heart calculation string. All right, and the box position location comes into higher line setting. Comes in all calculations to a flux capacitor, 2 track location. And that direct signal and that line rotation interference comes into a diamond core in set location. And that direct line center comes into position to a Merkaba, tesseract, and a tetrahedron set location. Okay, so that's what you're creating. If you understand the female side of the triangle, how it's lit this way, and if you understand the male triangle, how it's this way, then you understand the equal lines in between, the space in between of the Merkaba, the tesseract, and the tetrahedron. The Merkaba of the bottom setting of the crop circle, the tesseract location of its computer operation location to its setting, travels around communication to its system, all levels through binary codes, calculation high stream interference, computer adaptation line position location track lines. You guys are now in 72 computer operations in the brain converter location setting. Nanoset location system. Now that's seconds on mile set location. Indirect signal comes into your platitude line interference. Now once you get into 144, the brain conversion line set location changes into translucent patterns in set position of operation. So it merges the correlation setting to your heart, translucent, into your soul, a translucent, and then becomes the heart, the mind, and the soul. So the mind, the heart, and the soul. Okay? So in that central communication system, your earth, okay, and the geometric of its design of the center line rotation of your space and schematics over pi comes a higher calculation lines in position location to its atmospheres of its triangulation of a 3 set location system of triangulation. See? Okay, give it a couple seconds. You see it travel right to you. Look at it in between line centers. Look at the schematic high position location of the system, and then just let it go. And then you see it. And then you can move it over. And then you can move over here. So you have a second window. Now, a second window, when you add a frame line, a position, location, and track line, it only holds for a certain line of communication acceleration, right? So you have to do it very fast before it disappears. The more you go to higher levels of the mind line, you can change the position, location, and proactive settings in track location to a system. But it's very powerful when you come into this applications, how to use your 4 elements and 5 lines in position of target convergence, those applications. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Presmore, Hendall, Belinda, it's going. Gypsy, Heather. Yeah. Tina, Battle. All right. Kenny's Nice Center, Andre. So everybody getting a better understanding how this all works now? How it really starts at the very calculation, setting, position, locations to your higher self, 13 graph string locations, your avatar, and set locations to your sim. Your sim is just basically the surrounding. The sim is basically the mind of navigation. So it's like you're walking down a hallway. You're walking down a hallway. You're monitoring your earth. You're monitoring your geometric operation and design you're changing, and you're monitoring your directions of where you're going through your corridors in your simulation. Okay? So you got balance with your earth monitoring, stream resonance. You got balance with your calculation, your avatar through geometric operation and design, and you got balance and communications to your sim in its directions of where it's going through its navigation of its surroundings, which is your resonance. Okay. But see, that's it. That's what everybody's coming into it, is they're truly understanding more lines of communications. But now you understand is that you guys are coming into 5 elements now into the calculations to its setting, to its activity, site location, and cerebral. To understand that set location system is understand what it is. All right. It's a compound. It's a set position location operation system. It's everything that you can imagine. Okay. So like I said, it's a hotel with a lot of rooms. And you have to understand how it changes the positions to your earth, how it changes position locations to your geometric operation of design of directions, all levels of dimension, location of space, time to pi. And you have to understand how it navigates the system of your surroundings through the mindset location. Okay? So forget to mention yesterday, past preference walked in a mall. There was a wall with the equation huge, and there it was. Yeah. But see, that's exactly what it is. Okay, Geneva, see, that's what everybody is. But you have to understand why E equals. Where does the equal come from? This in position location. That's the basic standing. This is your earth. Okay? Center position location. This is the center of view of operation. So merging yourself to higher self, to your avatar, to your sim is one position location attraction of operation. Okay? So when that happens, it comes into line connections to an atom. Okay, into a molecule. Okay? That's all it is. So you merge your higher self, your avatar, and your sim, and it becomes an atom of set location or travel. Okay? So this is basic. And everybody has to understand that, but you have to understand how to harmonize your setting to your inner child. If you're having problems with your inner child, you got to harmonize that and reach it at a deeper core. This is you, set location line interference, indirect signal, communicating with you, the inner child of you. Okay? That's you communicating with you. Your inner child knows everything. Okay? So in that satellite condition setting, you have to understand the adult. You have to understand the teenager. You have to understand the child, and you have to understand the baby. Okay? This is a complete system of yin and yang. Once that understands, sets position, location, and fusion, opens all signals, brings in the sun, brings in the moon, correlates the setting direction, sets the location. Okay? So I'm just showing you how this all comes together, guys, but you have to really understand that it's all innovation, location, and creativity. One streamline. You have to recognize the communication past, center position locations, present, and future. All right? Now that's 2, 6, and 8. All right? Number 2, number 6, number 8. Past, present, and future. Okay, now, and this gets tricky because now you're working with communications of paradox, polarity, and paradigm. Okay, so in that position location, paradox, where do you want the paradox? Let's put it in the center. Okay, where do you want the polarity? Let's put it in 8. Okay, where do you want the high calculation setting position location, the paradigm? Into position of 2. Okay, you see how this is set up, Belinda? Now, understanding that track communication is really to understand how to bring past, present, and future, bring in your position of paradox, your position locations to polarities, and your paradigms into one cycle of set locations. And this is what it comes into line settings, in all communication line setting, and all direct signal to all set location to its position. That's all it is. That's all it is. Okay? You see how it comes into communication settings? Do you understand how powerful that is and what you guys are coming into? But you have to do it through hologram, and you have to do it through design set applications. It's very powerful how to create these things, guys. Okay? So I'm showing you now. Okay? Your brain line center is like, okay, polarity line interference, 6 line location offline setting. Now that track communications, let's change the track line communications. So you're not finished with this frame. Let's add another frame. Okay? Okay, here's a frame, position, location, line settings, all levels of position of traction. Okay? Now it just changed it, right? So you can add a triangulation line, surface, and direction. See how it changed positions? Okay, so that line condition setting. Let's go into a half pipe position of traction. Okay, it's a capsule. Right? So how did I do that? Well, line interference, I changed the 8s in polarity, put that in line position of paradigm. I changed the 6 position locations in paradox and high position locations, and I changed the communication to its polarity line interference back in 2 position traction. Okay, do you see how that works? Do you see how that works? Okay, very powerful in set locations. All right, so this is what we have to get into now, because the thing is, you got your calculations of your lines of all levels. You got your polarity, okay? You got position locations and your paradox. You can even switch it around, okay? It doesn't matter. What matters is it has to be balanced in your position of your mind through your thoughts. If your thoughts are in emotion, it changes everything through its paradox, through its paradigm, and its polarity, okay? 3 set lines, past, present, and future, okay? Future line calculation setting, but equal lines calculations over pi. Over pi is always future, always future, always future, all right? Over pi in position, okay? So it's really interesting we look at these things in position, location, and traction, okay? I really want you to concentrate on that because you guys are reaching higher levels now. The mind adaptation of schematics has to really understand all calculation, how it works. So in that track communication, one signature line stream. One signature line stream. Now in calculations, polarity at the top, but the polarity is its future setting. Okay? So it's knowing exactly how to direct the signals. And I'm working with my graph lines and position location at 13. So I'm only going to work with 4. So I'm working with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how it's set up. This is already set up to this. So in set locations comes in this setting in position of track line and direct signal in set location. Okay. See how that line signature is the same line, 2 panels? See how that works? Same direction. See, look, see? It's just a bigger view. All right. So using a 13 graph of 0 to 4 in position locations, all levels of polarity to its future line. Future line and set lines of correlation brings it out of the equation of travel. Okay, brings it in the future. Brings it in the future of travel locations. There's the hologram right there. Boom. Indication line settings. Okay. Learn how to set up the 13 graph. Understand that you can change it lines of polarity. Okay. Now, when you get into communications, you can get into pulsar. Okay. But you have to understand the paradox first. You need the paradox. The paradox, it gets complicated, guys, but really understand the paradox equal lines negative, okay? Okay, negative over pi. Okay, because you're overlining this base location system. 3-track communications is overdrive. Okay, overdrive. Okay? It's getting complicated, isn't it? So you have to understand how to use that set location system. And then again, you can change the polarity to paradox. You can change it to paradox to paradigm, or you can change the paradigm to pulsar. But what you have to understand is the past, the present, and the future always have to be in line signature panels of its operation system locations. Always has to be in 3 set location to its graph location setting of its direct system to its hologram. Okay? All right, so let's get into the decimal line streams. Extremely important set location system. Remember we tracked communication lines of 0 lines, 0.0. We got 0 line positions above locations. So we got above and we got below. Okay? Gets complicated, guys. Okay, what's below is what's above, right? An indication, right? So this is where you have to really get into your formulas equation settings. And then we come into this location of 0, 0, 1. Okay, so the indication is here, is this location settings. So you have to understand, if this is inner line rotation, if this is in front line, and this is in front line, this is positive location system, right? Which is the X. X position location settings and position of pi. So that's X equals pi in set locations. All right, so that indicates location of a plus. All right, now it's getting complicated again. So really understand how to formulate the line position location to your diamond core line setting interaction. Okay, all graph line settings, dimensional line sails, and rotation surface into the sun communication of its moon of operation line set location of traction. Okay, all right. So that's what it is. It's positive in position locations underscore positive underscore negative in set location. Negative, okay, positive, okay, positive, negative. Now you can set that position of track lines. So it's going up the stairs in set location of travel lines, right, which is your waves. Which gets really interesting too, because you have the operation ground lines in center position to its setting, right? You're always working with that. This is what you're working with, all set location setting, all direct signal. That will not change. That will always be positions in line connections. Right? The female Earth is always in a triangulation line setting in center position of operation. So the triangulation is always going to be like that because that's female set. That's how females are created. And this is how males are created from this setting, location, and position of traction. So you're working with your higher self. You're working with your set locations to your avatar, your calculation to your sim and set locations, right? So it's all about bringing the anomalies of all position of track lines, all line direct locations, all line rotation interference into process correlation setting of yin and yang. Okay? So really understand how to use the light, equal lines, dark. Let's go into that locations. I'm showing you how to do this through letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. So if you get a letter, number, shape, and symbol, you don't need to add the letter, number, shape, and symbol because you already know what it's here. But in position location, the letter is going to be A. Okay, so A is traveling, A equal lines of 2. So A equals 2 because it's 2 panels, right? So you add 2 here in position locations. That's 2 panels. Okay? See how complicated it's getting? All right, so in that set location, it gets much easier once you understand more line communication in your system. Now, you guys are in 72 graph lines, so you got a better understanding. So use the number. Okay, again, you have to travel line position locations. Everything in this line position has to have an indication of travel. Has to have an indication of travel, right? These are the point systems of locations that you're reaching. Okay, that's how it becomes a higher line calculation setting to a box location. All right. So once you get the number line center, you add the 2 lines, set locations. Let's say add a 7 line rotation surface. Hold on a second. So add a lines of a 7 line rotation surface. The triangulation line sets high position in this operation. Okay, so that's the number you're going to use. So it's 7. You don't put it here because it's a higher number than 2. And this goes back to correlation setting to your 13 graph line. So in set locations, you already have what you want. This is your structure, and this is coming into your design. So you're taking it out of the equation. Okay? So always, if you're having a 7, 7 can't be here because it confuses anomalies of 2, right? So in that communication, if it's 8, 8's above, 9 is above, okay? Because it's a higher number. And in position, if it's a 3-digit number in set location, it starts off the bottom because you're setting up a new graph, okay, to set locations, right? It gets complicated, but complicated is fun. So directing line set locations, 1, 2, 3, and 4 panels right there in set location. So that indicates line calculation cross line, position of track lines of letter, number, shapes, and symbols in set position of operation. Now in that calculation high interference, you change the line settings, all levels of circulation, rotation, surface, and high calculation position location to its operational line calculation setting at set location. Okay. It's more fun if you really understand your 13 graph. You use that as structure, but anything through indications, once you're coming into digital line numbers, past lines of sequence and position locations, if you're using just one number in set location, that's fine. If you're using 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers all at once, it's got to be in the ground because you're setting up a new structure of design because you're going more levels, right? So everybody blown away? That's like, I'm trying to figure this out. All right. So basically, because you guys are at your chakras now, your chakras are always working with your 13 graph, always work your 13 graph, right? So you structure what you want here and you place it here. Okay. So this is what you want to do. Okay. This is position location settings. Okay. So you're taking it off the page, right? That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing. So line signals in all communication to a system and travel calculation, right? So in that position location, it comes in this setting, comes in this setting, comes in this setting, okay? Or you can change the geometric lines of shape into 1, 2, and 3. Add 1, 2, and 3 through your structure graph lines because you're adding an equation at the bottom, 1, 2, and 3, right? So the 1 and the 2 and the 3 are set up. Okay, see how it becomes a graph, string locations? Now these are lacing lines, but the whole idea here is to basically put it in a box line, understand the graph line, stream location of settings, and how to read panels and position of track communication to its operation of design. Okay? You can work with X, Y line settings, but you're working with how calculations set interference. Now, if you go into those line conditions there, Hendel, you're working with chromosomes. You got an X line connection, X, Y, equal lines of X, Y, okay, X, Y, Z in position traction. Gets complicated. Now you're working with the chromosomes, the set locations. Okay, chromosome location settings, carriers, and receivers and set position traction. Right? So, yes, you're also working with the DNA. Okay? So we'll get into that later. That's way above system, but you guys are coming into that setting. But I just want you guys to get understanding how to use your structures over 13. Okay, you structure it here and you bring it out. Okay, so it comes out a position location of traction. Okay, so you set it up, set it up, set it up, set it up. See? So it comes back into the sun, comes back into the moon, comes an operation surface to its location. Boom. Okay. Now, understanding how to set this up is understand the point systems. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So you're working with 4, all right? Structure here, 13 graph, there's 4. Okay? So you want to work with position location, let's work with 7, all right? So 7 goes here, okay? And you want to work with 12, okay? So you work with 12, so 12 goes at the bottom. It doesn't go at the top, right? Because it's a 2-digit frame. So in position locations, you're adding the equations to its grounds of operation. You're adding frames. You're adding platforms in set location to its setting, okay? And then it comes into a grid in set location to a system, okay? So it's all about understanding how to set up griff ground line settings, high position of track line, crisscross line communication setting, and position at all levels. Okay, so in that position location, you can even space it out. So it's all levels of what you want to use. You don't have to use the communication of foundation of 12. You can use whatever you want in positions, but you have the 13 graph line stream that you can use in position of traction. Okay, so in that line communications, you can redirect line conditions. Now, if you want to add a 3, anything you add 3 line condition has to be in the center of set locations, right? Because it's the indication of the sun coming back in set location of your system with travel calculation. Okay, so that's 3 over lines equals lines of 4 equals lines of pi, directed signals and panels in correlation setting directions. Opens all signals and high position location lines of the moon, operation, surface, triangulation, and reset position of programs. Okay, so you're adding, changing. So every time you're adding and changing, you always have your 13 graph changes the position of its board. So you're changing the board, right? And that's what Gypsy was coming into. How position one block is here, one block is here, back in this position location setting, we're going to go this line conditionized system. Let's put this line communication setting over here. No, we're going to put that over there and downshift the location across lines, high center interference, high track communication, building block line communication setting, redirect panels, triangulation lines, have position location of 1, 2, 3, calculates the stream location of 3 lines, and position location of 1, and position of 2, and position of 3, and position of 4, 5, 6, and 7 locations. Now, in that indication, you have your structure of design. So you set it up. Okay, you just add the numbers. So it's at position of 1, and position of 2, and position of 3, and position of 4, and position of 5, and position locations of 6, and position location of 7. That's how it's set up. Set up, set up. So this helps you out, 13 graph lines. So you put this in order, you structure it first, and then you bring it out. And then when you do that, you bring the line communication of 3. If you want to have the sun come in twice, the 3 indicates equal line conditions of pi, and 3 equals lines of 3. So the sun goes here, and the sun goes here in 2 track locations of settings. 1 position, 2 position location of set location of design. Okay. Yeah, there's so many different ways to get in that position locations, Belinda, but it's understanding how to use your structure first and how to use your connection setting through calculations, how it sets up all levels of your schematics, right? So what you're doing is you're setting up a map, right? You do it through structure first, you draw out the location system, you use your 13 graph, and then you put it in position location your system. And once you get into that calculation setting, then when you work line communications, you come into 0 to 114. So you got 1 line communication, 1 line division, and 4 calculations. You're taking it out, right? This is going to help you and guide you. This is the ruler. The structure lines at 13 graph is the ruler. It's much easier to do, okay? So when you want a cross line stream and set location line system, you have to add 2, right? Because it's a line. Line is security line defense. It's a line, okay? If you want to add, let's see, you want to add 3, 4, and 5, okay? 3, 4, 5. There you go. Okay, so 3 and 4 and 5 is indicated. Position location is set location. All right, and that's how you set it up. And it gets easier. So let's say you want to add 1,000 line of communications in direct signal. So we platitude into the grounds. 1, 0, 0, 0. Okay, so we set up a new structure location of the design. But you have to understand the platitude. It has to mean rotation because you're dealing with the Earth. A set location. So in that indication line interference, it comes into a graph location of screen, a position of traction, right? And then basically, if you want it to come together, what do you do in position locations? You can add 1 in set location. You can add 1 in set location. Okay? So you stretch in line communication, or you can add the 1 lines, 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines, or 5 line position location of traction. Okay? So it's all calculated. And if you want to use 9, use the energy wash. 9 location settings in direct system to all calculation modification, your line condition, high center interference of your sun and moon through its rotation. Okay. So get into 13 graph line string location settings. Understand there's 0 locations, 0 location, 0 locations. Triangulation of 3 sets. Okay, flux capacitor communication, Fibonacci line swirl. And this is hieroglyphics. It's complicated stuff. Set position triangulation. Calculation of high lines of box location setting. Okay, box travels over to triangulation. Okay, shift line calculation line interference, light bulb. Track communication, line cross and line settings, 2 track location settings into 2 position. Ground lines calculation of 4 line rotation surface and 4-point systems location. Okay, directing line centers, crossing lines at 0. You have to communicate with each line's communications from 0 to 12 because they're trying to understand ether connections through travel. So you position location of 0 to 2. And there you go. Plotted 2. So the track communication comes in this signal, position location. Set up another light bulb. Set up another light bulb and traction. Okay. So in that line communications back in center, another Fibonacci line swirl rotates the surface location system of travel calculation of face recognition. There's the face, there's the eye, there's the nose. Looking down, but it's still there. I'm always there. You're always creating a face structure of you in your structure locations. Okay, the indication line settings. I can change the structure location of the design. See, now my eyes are coming up. Okay, and now my eyes are in center, position location. See? It's deceiving, isn't it? 3 line signals. Okay, downshift cross, center position, it's operation. Intelligence. See it? Hoo-ah. So there's a lot to understand. It's extremely complicated, but complicated is fun. Okay, I really want you guys to understand to get into this line set location. Look how powerful that is. It's the face recognition. You obviously know that's in the future in set positions. So it's set location, that's 1 line setting. Set position, that's 2 line setting. And position location, that's 3 line setting of travel of face recognition. Okay, coming back in location, coming back in location. Okay. This is why I pointed my avatar as my chauffeur. Yeah, you can look at that equation line system. But I really want you guys to get into that, understand how to use in all lines of forms, how you get in 3 indications of 1, 2, and 3, calculations of past, present, and its future location system. All right? Past position crosses over. Okay, present comes into center position. And future adapted to location of travel setting out of the equation, right? Sun comes in, rotation, surface, and triangulation. All levels of operation surface. Okay? So I think you guys got a better understanding now how this all works, because now you have 72 computer frame lines, and each direct location is longitude and latitude, its frame position. So you're just going to expand in all calculations of longitude and latitudes in all track communications and a 4-line division line interference in all positions to a system. So you're just going to expand from up and below and side. You're going to expand your minds. You're going to open up more panels of position location of settings of operation, right? It's what you do in the center communication. That doesn't leave. It evolves. It expands. Okay? You look really close. You can change position location, add frame lines, directing signal. Set locations, center line rotations, add another signal. Set position location track line, scan position location or crop circle location system and traction. Okay? And look at it left. I'm traveling too fast. Okay? Whoop, whoop. Yes, you have to be watching this again. But get into the 13 graph string first. Get it set up here and then have it travel out. I'll do this one more time so you understand position attractions. Okay, so you got a 13 graph. Start with the foundation of 12 first, right? How you want to set it up. Okay, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, so travel it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not that hard, is it? So in that indication, let's say you have four line positions, right? You have to add 4 there, right? So the sun knows where you're coming from. It scans 4, right? So it comes back in line rotation and protects the system location. It's calculates the line position location of its structure of its design. Look how powerful that is. Look how powerful that is. Of what I created through line conditions of 4 zeros and the 4 track locations of location setting. Okay. So that's why you have the box. E equals MC square. What are you using the square for? A 13 graph screen to get in positions to your holographic system of calculation. And once you get into that lines, you can change the frames. Change the frames. See, change the frame. Once you get in that line conditions, change the frame. Okay, in position locations, back in line setting, in position of traction. Okay, look how powerful that is. See, but you need the structure first. Okay, so it's really interesting when you get into that. And then when you get bigger, your positions are levels from 0 to 114 to work with. 0 calculations setting 0, 0, 0. You can go in position of structure, or you can stay within the box. Doesn't matter. But in position, this is giving you a line conditions going this way. Okay, 3 sets: past, present, and future. Paradox, okay, polarity, and paradigm. Okay, so it tracks lines of 3 lines, the set positions, all levels, sets 3 indicated, and 3 line settings. So you got 3 positive and 3 negative location system, right? So that overrides the box line rotation of its graph line condition of its string location. Okay, so that automatically comes in. So you add the 3, the sun comes in, right? Scans lines, sets lines, rotation surface, and position of traction. Okay, the sun and moon is always there. So we all understand how to use the past, present, and future because it's all timelines all at once. Every signature stream is all lines of future. Nothing is in the past. Everything that you're doing is directing and directing, redirecting, direct, redirect. It's like a windshield wiper, right? That's all it is. Okay, so start with your 13 graphs, and then when you get into that, go from your 0 to 114. Okay, that's why you have a set locations. So you start here and you finish here. Okay, this is going to help you balance more lines and how E equals MC square comes in. That's exactly what it is, Belinda. So you guys will be able to process these things better because you need a box frame. And that's why you have 72 computer reset location programs. You can have your box in the middle. You can have 0 here, 0 here, 0 here, here, and have 1 here indicated. So you're only working with 0 and 1. You don't have to work with your all 12. You got 2 calculation setting directions. You're working with the crop circles. You're working with the crop circles, 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 working with the crop circles of design. And you got the 1 indicated line position of its ground and line position location system in track calculation. Okay, so you work within the box, work in and then work out and expand. Okay, so you know your indication and what it is from 0 to 12, right? So when you work with that, you also can work with letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. So let's say, again, you get into the box and you want to start out with Fibonacci. If you want to make it easy, you know Fibonacci is a 3, right? So that automatically has the sun waiting. So it indicates scan set locations, right? And triangulation of 3 set positions of operation. Okay? So it's really interesting when you look at 3 line. That's just 3 through a box line, but it's a 4-line position of traction. 3 equals lines of 4, sets position location of 7. Okay, so you're working with 7 bodies of water in a 4-track location in a 5-line setting in a 6 measure and position location to its operation surface of its platform and correlation setting directions. Okay, so that's why you have the box. All right, it's kind of how you inference a box, square box, doesn't matter. But that's why you have to have this first. And then you come into this line connections, data ops, data streams, automated universe location setting directions, and all set locations. Work with Fibonacci in position, all levels. 3 indicates a setting. You can have 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, and 3 here. All right? So what is it? Fibonacci swirls, Fibonacci swirls, Fibonacci swirls, Fibonacci swirls, Fibonacci, because it's the same number. So get in that position, location, attraction. Okay? All right. I think everybody's starting to understand now. All right. That's it. You guys are set up through your 72 computer frame lines in all the right location system. Your tracker setting locations of convergence. Congratulations. So in that track communication line setting, all levels of rotation service location system, Monday is going to be set up to who levels a new anomaly. The anomaly line shift line is going to put you guys at 144 DNA in brain conversion location setting. Now this puts up center off communication setting to your nanoset location in your system. Puts position of track communications to the levels of memory of set locations. All right. Adios.